Hi Stitchers, Calico coming to you today from my car. Why, you may ask, am I videoing from my car this month? And it's because I have about 3 hours to kill because we do an online school and I had to just drop my boys off to do the math portion of their standardized testing. And since we do an online school, we have to go to a location to do our testing. So while they're in that building over there for the next 3 hours doing their math, I'm going to sit in my car and stitch and make this video. And I've got Downton Abbey DVDs, and yeah, it's gonna be good. Now I could go home because actually in the past these locations have been far from my house, and so I usually don't want to get too far from the testing site because you just never know if one of my boys are going to get ill and need to leave or something. So I just kind of got in a habit of sort of packing myself a little to-do stuff and during these tests, because I get to do this again on Monday too for the language arts portion, and I have 3 hours to kill on Monday, so I'm going to get a lot of stitching done. That's my plan anyway. See, if I went back home, which is only 9 minutes from here, I could go home, but then I thought I'd be tempted to do laundry, maybe clean my house. You know, if I'm in my car with my stitching, I'm going to be forced to stitch, and that's what I want to do. So that's why I'm in my car. I tried to get the lighting a little better in here, and yeah, you should see the setup. I have, like, my laptop is teetering very precariously on the edge of my dash right there. If I bump it, it's going to fall over. And anyway, people keep driving by too, and it's really kind of weird doing this in my car. But what have I been up to since my last video? I was working on, I think I was getting ready, I don't know if I had started it or getting ready to start the Flower of the Month Sal that's being hosted by Alyssa over at Brownie's Chair, and I put a link in my last video to that, but if you want it again, I'll try to remember to do that down below, a link to that Sal. I love it. It is so, it's just the right amount of stitching each month. You can kind of do it and it doesn't take over, and it's really neat. So I don't know if I started it last time, but I'll show you ahead of what I'm doing. Now I've decided to do it all on one piece of fabric. So this was January, and it was carnations. There. Now I did it a little bit different. You're supposed to just, the way the pattern is, there's the square and then you can do the next square over, but I'm going to have them share the border when I do this, and as you can see, I haven't done anything on the bottom yet, and I'll tell you why. But let me go on and get you to, there's February. So we've got carnations, violets, and I just decided to have them share a border because, as you can see, I don't have a whole lot of fabric to play with on the edge here, so I kind of just squashed them together a little bit there. And then so far this month I've gotten almost all of the jonquils done. Now I have a question about it. You know, in my mind these have always been daffodils, but it's charted as these are called jonquils. Now I don't know, I tried to look online to see what the difference is between jonquils and daffodils, and they look very similar to me. So the reason why I'm wondering why I'm torn is because this bottom part here, I've decided I'm going to put the name of the flower under here. And in order to do that, I'm going to make it, the bottom border, extend down a little bit. So they're not actually going to be square. They're going to be rectangular because I just want to have inside the border, I'm going to have the name of the flower. So I just haven't done that yet because I don't know. I haven't 100% decided on a font that I want to use yet. Or I was going to put the days of the month, like January, February, March, and then I decided to do the flowers. But I'm torn when I get to this because instead of putting jonquils, I want to put daffodils because that's what I know these flowers as. But if you are like an expert at flowers and say, these are definitely not daffodils, these are jonquils, then I want to put jonquils because I want it to be accurate. So I don't know, if you have some insight on that, let me know. But there is the progress so far. Once again, let me get a close-up of it. And another thing I'm going to do different is that there was no back stitching in this one. There was no back stitching in this one. And this flower it requires it to be, it's got a glare, it requires it to be back stitched all the way around the outside edge and then around the middle. Now, I think I'm definitely going to back stitch this middle part because it needs to stand out. It needs to stand out, and I think it can benefit from the back stitching. But I'm going to leave this outer edge unback stitched because it doesn't really flow with these other ones that aren't back stitched. So I don't know. If you're working on this design and you've got to that part, tell me what you think. Oh, you know what? I guess if I were doing them separately and they weren't going to be displayed right next to each other, then that wouldn't matter. But I just kind of found it interesting that no back stitching, and this one had a lot of back stitching. It just didn't match. So I'm going to forego some of that. So that's where I'm at with that. And hopefully the next time you see me, I don't know if I'll do an actual every month update, but month and a half seems to be more reasonable. But as a matter of fact, I think my boys have more testing in May, so who knows? I might not do another one till May. But hopefully I'd like to have the wording. Well, I'm going to have the wording done before I do next month, because to start it, I'm going to have to decide how much space I need there, you know, and move on. So anyway, that's how that's been going. And the other thing that I've been working on is, well, let me find a picture of it. It was in the Just Cross Stitching magazine, and I think now I just made a copy of this page here, so it's not real clear. But this was the one. It was the blue Jays Birdhouse. And that's what it looked like. And I was getting ready to start that, and I was going to do it on 18 count oatmeal Aida. Now, the reason I picked that instead of something fancier, or, you know, I have a lot of that in my stash because I picked up a bunch of it when it was on sale, and I know that it's easy to get locally. And I love it. It's really soft. It's Fiddler's Aida. It's what it's called. And it's in the oatmeal color. And I just love it. It's so soft to work on. So I had all set out to go do that. Well, I'm getting ready to go put in the first stitches. And I get the pattern and I start looking at it. And lo and behold, I don't know why I didn't notice this before, I see all these fractional stitches. Now, I don't necessarily dislike fractional stitches, but I haven't done a whole lot of them. So my only experience with fractional stitches was a small little bird that I did, and it was, well, what is her name? Pfeiffer. She's got all those really cute little birds, but oh man, all these little tiny fractional stitches, and you know, and it took me forever, this little thing. It turned out beautiful in the end. Point is, I have another kit in my stash, and I think it's a not a Dimensions, it's one of the few non-dimension kits I have. I can't think of it. It's one of those real common ones. I'll post it up here when I think about it. But it had some fractional stitches with it, and it came with Aida, and I had a hard time, as you know, if you do fractional stitches, piercing the center of the Aida. It makes it a bit tedious. So when I saw this had fractional stitches, I was like, oh, I'm like ready to start this today. I don't want to go find other fabric, because fractional stitches are obviously easy to do with like a 28 count over 2, because then the center spot, the center hole, is very easy to find, easy to go into. You don't have to pierce the fabric. So I was frustrated with that because I was ready to start it and I didn't have any other fabric that I wanted to use. So I said, well, let me evaluate this. And I evaluated the pattern, and really, after looking at it, most of the fractional stitches were in like the faces of these birds, and especially in this face here, because all of like where it changes color is all quarter stitches, or quarter stitches, I guess. And then wherever the birds touch the birdhouse, so this part right here, and then of course the end here, you know, so basically outlining the birds are the only places that there's fractional stitches. So I thought, well, okay, do I want to do this? Because not only would I commit to this, but the next 3 in a series, I want them all to match on the same fabric. And I thought, well, you know, if I can't do it on this fabric, I don't want it to become one of those things, those projects I don't work on because it's hard. Hold on a second. So I thought, well, I'm going to take the fabric and I'm going to start on the most tedious part of this whole pattern, this head. right here. So I did that, and it really wasn't that bad. The needle I was using was a little sharp, and you know, it pierced it. I mean, it was a little tedious, but not bad at all. So I thought, you know, this is totally doable. So I started the head, and I just loved working on this pattern, and I just continued on with it. As a matter of fact, I didn't even want to stop to work on this month's flower of the month. So pretty much the only thing I worked on through February was February's flower, and then this. So I'll show you where I'm at so far. So I think, yes, I hadn't started it in my last video, and this is where I'm at with it now. There. So let me get a close up. You can see it. So I did all the back stitching around the bird. That whole bird is completely done. And I would say that that was probably the most difficult part of the whole pattern. The other birds aren't quite as tedious, and their faces are, you know, just a little less detailed. But then, I mean, the whole birdhouse and everything else, there's no back stitching. It's just full coverage, full crosses, and it's fairly big chunks of stitches of the same color. I mean, it's really nice to work on. It's not, definitely not as tedious as like the Heaven and Earth design, because there's not much confetti. And, you know, like I said, there's very little back stitching, and, you know, I think the result of it is really nice. So I'm happy with the way that's coming along so far. So I was excited to get my next magazine to see what the next issue, to see what the next installment of that is. And if you'd like to see it, I'll show you. But spoiler, if you haven't got this magazine yet, and you don't want to see it and want to be surprised, then turn your eyes away. But this is what the next installment of that series is, right here. So another one that's going to take a while, and I have no idea what kind of birds these are. I've never seen them in my area, so they're cute, but they're Parula warblers. Never heard of them, but they're cute. So that's the next one. But while thumbing through this magazine, this is the April issue of Just Cross Stitch, this one here, I fell in love with another pattern. I just had to start. Now, I haven't started it yet, because I decided that I wanted to order all the parts for it. Okay, I had it bookmarked, and I just lost it. It's on page 24. Here. This one right here. This little spring pillow. You can do separate designs, or you can just do the whole spring pillow, but that is so cute. You can't really see the colors on it, but I thought, you know, I would love to work on just something spring. I don't have any spring cushions or anything, you know, anything that I've stitched that have any Easter themes. It's like one thing I think that holiday just comes and goes so quick, and I just end up not doing much for it. So I decided to order from Picture This Plus, which I have never ordered from before. I always just hear good things about them and all their beautiful fabrics. So I said, I'm going to order the fabric and all the hand-dyed fabric and all the hand-dyed floss that come with this. And I did. Now, it took a while to get that. I must be spoiled because of my Amazon Prime, but it seemed like it just took a long time to get that shipment. Just when I was about ready to call them and say, what's up, then I got a notification that it was shipped. So, but once I opened the package, all was forgiven because it was so beautiful. Now, if you know me in my past videos, I'm not one much for ordering hand-dyed floss fabrics and stuff, and I just don't, you know, usually I go pretty plain, pretty simple. But I opened up this package, and oh, okay, this just doesn't even do it justice. So I got this really nice piece of, oh, it's very peachy. I don't know if you can see that. No, it doesn't come off. It's very peachy. Peachy orangish, very bright. Right here it just looks kind of a dull brown. But if the sun were out, you would see that this is really a nice, very springy looking piece of fabric. And then all of the flosses that I got with it, right here, you can see there's pinks and purples. And there's this orange, greens, purples, yellows. So what you're seeing, but then make it like 10 times more vibrant than that. And that's what these colors are. I mean, so there's some Weeks Dye Works. This one's called Bubblegum. Oh, I love that pink. It's just really like a big piece of bubblegum. So Weeks Dye was Bubblegum and Purple Majesty. And then there were Crescent Colors, Snowball, which is just white. Amethyst was just this light purple. Put against that. Peanut Brittle. Sunshine Girl. Then some from the Gentle Arts, Bittersweet. Love this one, Tutti Frutti. That's a great color. I love it. Carriage Black, which is kind of like a sort of a gunmetal gray, and Spring Grass. So, yeah, I'm really excited to start that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to start that right after this video. So, you will see progress on that. And I'm going to work on that today and on Monday with my 3-hour break. So, I wouldn't be surprised if I get a finish on that one by my next video. Because I'm really excited. And it just looks really kind of easy to do. No back stitching. Okay, what else? That's it. That was my little haul. That was my flower of the month. The Blue Jays Birdhouse. And yeah, pretty simple. I still really want to start my little Colorado sampler. I got to get that done. And I think I may order another hand-dyed fabric from Picture This Plus to go with that. I just love the things I'm working on right now. I don't want to add anything else. I just really like what I'm working on. I feel like there was something else, but I don't think there is. So anyway, until next time, that's it. So I'm going to go stitch and watch Downton Abbey till my boys are done. And until next time, I hope you guys are all having a nice stitchy day, stitchy time, whatever it is you're doing. Anyway, have a great day, have a great March, and I'll see you in April, probably mid-April or later, and maybe not till early May. So anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.